So all you need is a stethoscope, and this is called the diaphragm of the stethoscope. Already you obviously know it. Now what you have to do is to press this diaphragm against your palm like this and grasp it inside your fist. All right, now position it like this, and draw a horizontal line. And what you hear is pansystolic murmur. The similar sound that you hear in pansystolic murmur or holosystolic murmur. The causes are mitral regurgitation, tricuspid regurgitation, and ventricular septal defect. Now talk about that in the next slide. Pansystolic murmur or holosystolic murmur that you heard in a horizontal line is a kind of murmur that persists throughout the cardiac cycle. All right, so the causes for this murmur, there are three different causes, and the first one out of that is mitral regurgitation, and the site to hear that regurgitation or the murmur is apex, and it radiates to axilla usually. All right, so if you have the suspicion of mitral regurgitation but you haven't heard the murmur, you have to do the maneuver. And the maneuver for mitral regurgitation is that you ask the patient to grip the hand. All right, so that will increase the sound of the murmur due to increment in the afterload. The second cause is tricuspid regurgitation, and the site to hear tricuspid regurgitation is left lower sternal border, and the maneuver is to ask the patient to increase the inspiration rate, and that will lead to increase in the sound of the murmur. This is also called Caraballo's sign. All right, so the third one is ventricular septal defect, and the site to hear is the same, that is lower left sternal border, that is sound like that sounds harsh. All right, so the maneuver is to increase the hand grip, and that will increase the afterload, increasing the sound of the murmur. So the murmur sound, you hear the sound in a uniform blowing pattern, that is high pitch pattern, like you have heard that already. I have attached the audio. So the other one is you have to make a V shape. All right, so the V shape should be away from the wrist like this. And what you hear is ejection systolic murmur or ejection systolic click. And the causes are aortic stenosis or pulmonic stenosis. All right, just like this. You have to draw it like this, V shaped. The point should be away from the wrist. Is ejection systolic murmur that you hear in V shape away from the wrist that I have demonstrated just now. So the causes for that is there are two different causes, and the first one is aortic stenosis, and the site to hear that murmur is right second intercostal space that radiates to the carotids. All right, so the maneuver to hear the largest of this murmur is squatting. All right, so you have to squat or leg raise to increase the sound of the murmur by increasing the preload. But if you do the Valsalva maneuver or standing up, that will decrease the intensity or amplitude of the murmur. All right, so the second one is pulmonic stenosis, and you hear pulmonic stenosis in left second intercostal space, and it may radiate to shoulder or neck. All right, so the maneuver is that it will increase with inspiration. So the sound of this murmur, ejection systolic click or murmur, is a harsh crescendo decrescendo murmur between S1 and S2 heart sounds. All right, so now the other one is a circle. Draw a circle, and what you hear is machinery like a murmur, continuous machinery murmur, as in patent ductus arteriosus. Third one we have is continuous machinery murmur. You have to make a circle. All right, just like we have demonstrated, and the causes is just one that we know of is patent ductus arteriosus, and then the site to hear is left infraclavicular area second intercostal space. All right, so the maneuver to hear the loudest is increase with hand grip, that will increase systemic vascular resistance, and the sound of this murmur is like continuous machinery like, so it peaks around S2 heart sound. All right, so the other thing that you have to do is draw a vertical line from the towards the wrist, and what you hear is blowing decrescendo murmur, and you hear that in aortic regurgitation. All right? So the fourth one we have is a blowing decrescendo murmur that you hear with a vertical line to the wrist, all right? So the cause is aortic regurgitation, and the site is left sternal border with patient sitting, leaning forward, and expiration, all right? So the maneuver to hear this blowing decrescendo murmur, you have to, like, it increases with hand grip, obvious reason, and decreases with the valsalva. So the sound of this murmur sounds like high pitched blowing early diastolic decrescendo murmur. All right, so that is all about the murmurs, and thank you for staying with me.